Okay, welcome everybody to August the 16th, 2021 regular town council meeting. I'll just let everybody know that's out there watching on YouTube right now that most of us are in the council chambers. There's a couple of councilors that couldn't be here for whatever reasons they have. So we are going to do this meeting on Zoom so everybody can be involved. That being said, I'd like to get a motion for adoption of the agenda. Councilor Roala, thank you very much. Is there any additions or any deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Next up, the adoption of the minutes of the regular town council meeting of July the 19th. Councilor Waters, thank you. Is there any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing no hands waving, all those in favor? Carried. Next, we need to adopt the minutes of a special meeting of town council on August the 10th. The motion, Councilor Barry makes the motion. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to have a delegation, and it's 7:30, and we're going to go into a closed session for a short little bit of time. Disclosure. The reason is disclosure harmful to business interest of a third party. So we're going to go for the next 20 minutes or so, half an hour, and get some of this other work done. So first up is the supplemental correspondence. Thank you, Cliff. So we'll take a motion to receive and file first. Okay, Councilor Rubik, thank you very much. Now we'll go into some discussion. So does anybody have anything they'd like to say? Well, I personally think that if we're going to bring in one of the candidates that are going to be on the ballot, that we should offer the opportunity to every other candidate that's going to be on the ballot. Is everybody in agreement with that? Or? Go ahead.
So just to ask for clarifications, are you thinking that I would agree with offering everyone, but are you suggesting like they should all be at the same time or just to reach out to everyone?
That my concern is that I wouldn't want to leave anybody that didn't reach out to us. So if we're going to have one candidate come in, we should find out who the candidates are and send them an invitation to come and talk to us. I mean, not all of them would. I understand that. But at least we wouldn't show any favoritism by only taking one. So, is everybody good with that? Yeah. Councilor Rajak. Okay, so on the motion to receive and file, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Up next, the Mayor of Claresholm.
This is a letter from the Mayor of Claresholm addressed to Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, Code of Conduct. At the last regular meeting of Claresholm Town Council held Monday, July 19, 2021, Council discussed the Councillor Codes of Conduct instituted by the Alberta government on October 26, 2017. It has been brought to our attention by the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, or AUMA, that the current Alberta government has plans in the works to remove the requirement for municipalities to have a code of conduct in place to govern all councillors equally by way of bylaw. The town of Claresholm passed bylaw number 1641, the Council Code of Conduct bylaw on April 9, 2018, prior to the government's deadline of July 23rd, 2018. In the current council's first year of governance, it became inherently clear how important a council code of conduct is, as our council had to undergo advanced communication training and contract outside mediation to overcome some contentious issues. Clare's Hometown Council respectfully requests that your ministry tread this path lightly and make sure that consultation with municipalities in Alberta is completed prior to any major changes being made. The Alberta Urban Municipalities Association should be highly involved, and the town of Claresholm fully supports their efforts. Having a requirement for municipalities to have a code of conduct bylaw in place provides a framework for council members' behavior and provides each council direction and guidance for dealing with any contentious issues that may arise. It is imperative that the option of imposing sanctions on council members continues as necessary to support this process. Clare's Hometown Council requests that the council code of conduct bylaw requirement remains in place. If you have any questions or concerns regarding this issue, please contact the undersigned at your convenience. Yours truly, Doug McPherson, Mayor, Town of Claresholm.
Okay, so take a motion to receive and file the letter. Councillor Waters, thank you very much. So I know you guys discussed this a bit at the LEDS meeting. And what was the thoughts? What, Councillor Barry?
Well, some of our thoughts we had, Your Worship, we couldn't quite understand why the bylaw would be, the need for a bylaw would be removed. I think that a code of conduct is important. I know it can be just by policy, but I think that it seems strange that they would remove the provisions for having the bylaw. I would support similar thoughts as to what Town of Claresholm expressed.
Has AUMA contacted us with regarding this, that the Municipal Affairs is moving ahead with this?
They have not.
Sorry.
Not directly.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Rudek.
I was just going to say, it was one of the items that they did talk about when we went to that elected leaders meeting, talking about the difference between the consequences and sanctions that come from a code of conduct. Sorry. Yes, they talked about it at that elected leaders caucus, just differentiating the difference between the sanctions and the consequences that a code of conduct can imply, but not necessarily that it was happening this quickly. They did talk about it. It was one of the items that were upcoming concerns, issues of concern.
Well, I know myself right now what Municipal Affairs has in place for trying to reel in municipal elected officials is nothing. There really is nothing to stand on. I mean, so what you're telling me here is that AUMA is saying that Minister McIver is trying to remove our own personal bylaws for code of conduct? Okay.
Is that the clarification? Because that's not how I had taken it. I thought they were removing the requirement to put it in, not actually telling you had to not have one. So I believe what they were saying is they would no longer make it a requirement. However, they weren't coming in and stepping into us to say we can't have it. Is just how I thought I read it when I went by.
Councillor Waters, next.
So you think Councillor Moore is an option for municipalities to have it or not?
Yeah, that's how I understood it. They were just taking it. Oh, sorry. They were just taking it out as being part of a requirement to carry that policy, is the way I had read it there. They're still not saying you shouldn't have one. I would hope we would have one. I wouldn't see a benefit in removing it necessarily. I also find it a little bit odd to even suggest to take it out, because it seems like there'd be more teeth in something that was mandated to be in place, but my understanding is that they just were no longer mandating it to be in place.
If I could. So then each new council, as we have an election coming up, would decide at that point if they want to have one or not.
So Councilor Rudy, that's the way I remember it too, that it wasn't that they were mandating that everybody remove it. It would be an option. It wouldn't be a. So right now, we don't really need to do anything until, if we wanted to remove our own code of conduct bylaw, it would be something that we do as a council. If we write a letter to Minister McIver, we would ask them to put a little more teeth in the Municipal Government Act when it comes to sanctions and penalties against elected officials. That's what we would support. Okay, so we're gonna just, for today, we're gonna leave it where it is, and we'll just receive and file on this. So all those in favor? Sorry, I'm looking around the room and not looking at Councillor Broadjack and Councillor Lemko. Did you guys want to get into the conversation there? Because did you have your hand up? I'll get better at this as we go along, probably just before we're done, okay? Okay, so next up, we have a letter from Municipal Affairs.
This is a letter from Office of the Minister of Alberta Municipal Affairs addressed to Mayor McPhee. I am pleased to confirm that Alberta will receive $499 million in funding under the federal gas tax, GTF, in 2021. This includes an additional one-time payment of $244 million announced by Canada in March of 2021. In recognition of the critical role our municipalities play in safe restart and to help reduce the risk of infrastructure projects being delayed or canceled. This additional funding is intended to help municipalities and Métis settlements address local infrastructure needs and must follow the rules and conditions of the GTF program. For the town of Vegreville, the 2021 GTF allocation is $668,342. This includes $326,568 as a result of the one-time funding top-up. GTF funding amounts for all municipalities and Métis settlements are also posted on the Government Alberta website. In addition to the federal government announced that GTF program is being renamed to the Canada Community Building Fund to better reflect the nature of the program. Over the coming months, Municipal Affairs will be updating program documents, websites, and IT systems to reflect this change. I look forward to working with you and the federal government to help your community in addressing its infrastructure needs. Sincerely, Rick McIver, Minister.
Okay. Councillor Rudy makes the motion to receive and file the letter. Any comments? Councillor Barry?
I just have one question. This is a top-up, not an advance future monies. We went through this MSI, I actually didn't realize that they weren't really giving us extra money, they were just giving us an advance. This is actually a top-up.
Yes, it is.
This
and
is
this
from
has
the
happened in the last 2 years as well.
From the federal government.
So this is good news.
Well, unless you were a taxpayer that will have to pay this money back that they borrowed someday. Councillor Rudy?
I would say that it is a good piece of news, considering that municipalities have we maintain 62% of the infrastructure of the country, and that includes 1 million kilometers of road and 500,000 kilometers of underground pipe. So the doubling of the gas tax, which is now the Canada Community Building Fund, is something FCM has advocated for. And in speaking last week with two different parties, not the governing party, or I guess everybody's in election mode, but both the Conservatives and the NDP have talked about the permanent doubling the gas tax as a most effective way to particularly to deliver infrastructure needs in rural communities. So in this instance, I'm quite certainly ready to have a project in mind that it would be very effectively used for, but this is a great way to be able to have a local economic driver and be able to provide some support to some much needed infrastructure in Vegreville. So this is good news.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming 2 years in a row. But I also didn't know they were going to have an election right down either. So. Anyway, it is for us right now. Yes, we'll definitely take need money from the federal government as a municipality within Alberta's limits. It's nice to get some money back. So. Okay, did anybody else have anything they wanted to put forward? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, we have a letter from the Premier.
This is a letter from the Premier of Alberta addressed to His Worship Tim McPhee, Mayor. Dear Tim, thank you for hosting me on July 22nd, 2021, along with Jackie Armstrong Hominick, MLA for Fort Saskatchewan, Vegreville, for a tour of the Vegreville Agri-Food Industrial Park. I appreciated the opportunity to meet with you and Vegreville councillors to learn more about this innovative project. Agriculture is and always has been a foundation of our province, and value-added agriculture will play a key role in the growth and diversification of our economy. It is exciting to see a development like this that builds on existing strengths to pursue new opportunities and create jobs. I appreciate Vegreville's vision for the hemp industry in Alberta and look forward to its completion. Thanks again for making us welcome. Best wishes to you and the people of Vegreville. Yours sincerely, Honorable Jason Kenney, Premier of Alberta.
Thank you. Take a motion to receive and file that. Councillor Bajak, thank you very much. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next is Director Rowe.
Thank you, Worship. This is a request for council decision. The topic is the Wally Fadoon Arena Sponsorship Guide. The proposal to approve the Wally Fadoon Arena Sponsorship Guide. Background in 2021, the town of Vegreville concluded their sponsorship agreement with the Vegreville News Advertiser. The town recognizes that opportunities exist to partner with businesses and community groups to achieve a mutually beneficial marketing situation. Moving forward, all sponsorship agreements will be handled internally through the Communications and Marketing Department. Currently, the town is working on an agreement with the Vipers Hockey Club for the 2021-2022 season. The sponsorship guide will be integrated into the town of Vegreville sponsorship policy, including the fees and charges bylaw. The Recreation Department will be installing the ice at the arena shortly, and the arena advertising will begin for the 21-22 season. The communication strategy, the appropriate internal departments will be notified and provided with a copy of the Wally Fadoon Arena Sponsorship Guide. Recommendations being made that the town council approve the Wally Fadoon Sponsorship Guide as attached for the 21-22 season.
I'll take the motion first for the recommendation. Councillor Lemko, thank you very much. Okay, any discussion? We'll start with Councillor Warlock.
Well, I just think that I'm happy to see this coming forward, and I think that it's going to allow us an opportunity to, be able to work with and allow some fundraising opportunities for multiple users. So I think that that's a really good thing, and it's something that we've been asked about many times by some of the user groups why this wasn't available. So I'm glad to see it coming forward and would support the recommendation.
Okay, any other comments? So we have
we are currently working on the full sponsorship policy that will include facilities outside the arena, but this is just for the arena itself. So there'll be digital advertising, the boards, and the board only.
Okay, so there'll be no smaller hanging signs against the back wall or anything like that?
Yep.
Okay. Why limit yourself?
That is, well, the hanging signs on the back walls were in the sections where the vipers. But these areas here are strictly 100% town sponsorships that we will then use to subsidize and offset costs for our minor groups.
Okay. Not for operating the facility. Okay, Councillor Rudick.
Just curious, will we embrace this as, we'll be contacting the previous advertisers and we'll have a timeline or just a check-in periodically with our previous sponsorship or advertisers? We just sort of had a periodic check-ins to be able to see how it was going. And I think likewise, this might be nice to see as we bring this back into our own fold to see what it looks like, if there's anything else that needs to be tweaked or added to the selection of options like we just talked about. There's a lot of other spaces in the arena that have been used in the past, and I would be interested in seeing this come back to us again and just see how it's going, like a periodic check. And I wouldn't want to go too far into the hockey season and not have some kind of idea of how it's going and how the businesses and local advertisers are feeling about it.
Yeah, well, we have been in contact with the current, like who's currently on the board sponsors, and there is still a lot of interest. Some do not have interest anymore. And then there's other opportunities that we haven't been to for some businesses. So but we've just been in beginning talks until this is approved with dollar totals. So if the council does approve this, then we'll get on this ASAP and start talking to all the businesses that we can and start promoting different sponsorship options for the business community.
Sorry, Phil, I just have one more clarification on that. So when you said that the possibility is then it would go back to some of the user groups, so were you thinking that there was like a talk of it being divided back, or were you thinking of it going in to reduce the cost of rental to user groups? I guess I'm just looking at the two because, you know, in one way, if we're talking about it specifically going to say there's 3 user groups or something, and we specifically went back, that is then kind of in my mind providing a fundraising opportunity specifically to 3 organizations, versus if it went back in and helped bring down user costs to those rental groups, it also would bring down that cost to any other people who rented that facility, plus brings down our operational cost a little bit, which is more, you know, to all the groups. I just kind of wonder if you can clarify a little bit or provide clarification after as well.
So the plan is that the town would take the money, and then on a percentage basis of usage for all the groups that use the arena, we would then use that to offset what we bill them. Not giving them money to use, we would offset their billing costs.
Awesome. Okay.
On a per capita, like how many people, how many participants in each?
Or a percentage base of hourly use.
That's what I'm interested.
But you'll let us know so that we won't get attacked and say, why'd you go this way, not that?
And that's all going to be a part of the new sponsorship policy. Once we get this completed in the fall time, so they say this is just because it's very time sensitive. Yeah. It's approving these dollar amounts, and this is what we're looking at, especially with the digital advertising. There's some great opportunities there for us.
And for businesses.
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Barry.
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe my question has been partially answered. I was going to suggest that these changes that can be taking place right now at the arena, that might be a good time to take a look at our sponsorship policy in general and just go through an update on it. But I think you alluded to that already.
Yes, the entire sponsorship policy is in review for this fall, and it'll all be in place, approved for the 2022 year, including all our facilities. But we need to get this one in because we can't wait till 2022 to.
Okay, so as soon as you can let us know about what method you're going to determine how to split the money for each of the, how the discount will work. Would be nice for us to know. Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Okay, well, thanks, Phil, and glad to see you get this rolling early as you did here. So be nice to, I know if I was still a sponsor on the boards, I'd like to know what was going on before the season started. So it's good. Thank you very much. Next up. Oh, we do on a recommendation. Sorry, a little ahead of myself there. Sorry with that, folks. Take a week off and see what happens. Okay. All those in favor of the recommendation? Thank you, unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, so next up is, what time is it? So, okay, this time we have our delegation here, and like I said earlier, we need to go into a closed session for this discussion, and that's where we're going to take a motion. Councillor Barry, all those in favor? Carry. We'll be back.